And now, the general weather around Alaska.
Welcome to Alaska Weather. I'm meteorologist Peter Chan coming to you from the National Weather Service on this Monday, April 29th, 2024. And if you'd like additional weather information, the National Weather Service's online presence can be found at weather.gov. It'll bring you to a map of the continental U.S. with Hawaii and Alaska to the lower left and tabs for the territories. Point and click anywhere on this map and it'll pull up a very specific forecast with any related watches, warnings, or advisories. Just a quick check of just see what's going on across other parts of the country. In the wake of the severe storms, the tornadoes this past weekend, we have still some flood advisories from Illinois down through Missouri, parts of Kansas, and into Texas, Louisiana. A dense fog advisory, northern Lake Michigan, due to warmer, more humid air crossing the colder waters of Lake Michigan this time of year. Spring fog like that common. And then some areas of stronger winds in the foothills, the high plains there, just east of the Rockies, and then up into parts of Montana, back all the way into northeastern Nevada. But one thing is certain, we've had some outstanding weather across much of the mainland, really quiet weather pattern for a time now. But it's also river breakup season. It is underway. We've had a lot of sunshine, warmer temperatures the past week, a lot of snow melt and snow sublimation. There is now a snow melt flood watch for the Copper River Basin through midweek, as the potential exists for some flooding to develop there within the Copper River Basin, especially along Moose Creek around Glen Allen. And coming up, we are looking at the last quarter moon on Wednesday, May 1st. A new moon will follow a week later on May 8th. And the pattern is going to be changing, this kind of quiet, drier, warmer pattern. Things are going to cool down, especially across the mainland, and become wetter here as we get toward the end of this week into the upcoming weekend. And this pattern could persist all the way up until about mid-month at least. It's looking like it could hold on for a while. So looking at some things, we have Dead Horse, light snow, 9 degrees. Colder temperatures there are going to return along the Arctic coast along with some stronger winds later this week. And we expect not a whole lot of change for temperatures up that way to average this week a bit below normal. Buckland, more toward the west side of the state, we're seeing mostly cloudy skies, 27. There's quite a bit of snow melt water reported around the Buckland River, so hopefully that doesn't become any sort of a problem. At this point, reports from the village there say things are okay, but again, if things were to melt off a little more quickly, that could become a problem. Dillingham, mostly cloudy, 39 degrees, and there is an ice jam on the river there, east of there at the Nushagak River, not causing any problems, at least as reported to us as of this Monday, but something to keep an eye on. And then Gulkana within the Copper River Basin, mostly cloudy skies. There could even be an isolated shower or sprinkle pop up there today. Temperature 52 as of 2 o'clock this afternoon, but notice a lot of bare ground, a lot of snow melt in that area. Could experience some flooding here later this week as the snow melt continues. The runoff, the areas of concern are especially along Moose Creek there around Glen Allen. That's why there is a flood watch in effect. And here's the area under a flood watch within where the Copper River Basin is. That flood watch is into Wednesday. Could be extended, but the conditions are right with the amount of runoff that's going to be happening from the snow melt due to the fact there was certainly above normal snowfall in this area this winter, very hard hit with some heavier snowfall, so it would make snowmelt flooding a more likely bet. So keep that in mind and make any preparations if you live in a spot that is prone to some flooding with the snowmelt this time of year. Otherwise, no other advisories, watches, or warnings currently in effect. And here's a little closer map of the river breakup scenario. Where we have the dark blue, that means there's open water in the river. The headwaters, the upper stretch of the Yukon above Dawson City is showing some opening. As we get downstream, and there's still ice in place, the upper Yukon down through Yukon Flats, and then obviously through the middle and lower Yukon. Area where we have seen some of the water open up, the ice melt off and breaking up is the Tanana River. So especially the middle into the upper sections, areas around the Copper River Basin obviously starting to open up, and we have some other areas where it's tried to open around the Susitna drainage, as well as in little pockets around the Kobuk River. And again, this is all underway, may accelerate a bit, though we are expecting temperatures to cool down again here coming up on the west side of the state this weekend into next week. That could slow river breakup in some areas. But looking at the satellite imagery, we have this one low scooting away from when it was just west-southwest of Haida Gwaii, now off of Vancouver. We have another low sitting south of the Alaska Peninsula, and a stronger low way out here west of Shemya. That's going to be the main lead system that's going to bring about a pattern change later this week into the weekend. High pressure way up here in the Arctic Ocean, but this is a little cold front that's going to be slipping southward across the central, eastern, Arctic and slope and north slope areas and through the Canadian Arctic coast. And that's going to bring a little colder air back into the far north. So right now, this afternoon, this Monday afternoon, here's the one low to the southwest of Vancouver Island. And then here we have a weak low over the Yukon, kind of a couple of troughs. And with this kind of setup, there's enough instability with the daytime heating. You can get some scattered showers of either rain and snow, or rain, snow, even some ice pellets mixed in. So that's a possibility in areas of the interior and along any terrain. Further south, we have some rain around this low, but it's not a very strong low. And then here's a windier low. This system has a little more punch to it, down at 971 millibars as it's entering the far western Aleutians, and this ridge of high pressure that extends down into the central Bering Sea around and just ridge axis around and just west of St. Matthew. So later tonight and into Tuesday, we have this front dropping southward out of and crossing through the Beaufort Sea coastline. Here's the low in through the eastern, or I should say western Aleutians. And by the time we get into Tuesday, we still have relatively drier weather here in the Panhandle. There could be a few pop-up showers develop with the afternoon heating in through the Yukon Valley and around the Alaska Range, Talkeetna Mountains, and especially areas of northwest Canada. This one low is going to initially kind of push east, but it's going to try to fling some moisture back up along Kodiak Island, maybe to about the entrance of Cook Inlet by the time we get into Wednesday. But this is the system that's going to eventually move eastward and bring about the pattern change. It's going to allow weather systems to move from southwest west to east northeast and make a more active pattern from the Aleutians into the southwest coast, Alaska Peninsula, western Gulf, and then all that's going to shift eastward into the Panhandle, and with some moisture being drawn up into the central and eastern interior as we go through the latter half of the weekend. So on Wednesday, already starting to see the hints. That secondary low development pulls this low up with some showers and areas of rain up into the Alaska Peninsula, eastern Aleutians along Bristol Bay, and up even into the entrance of Cook Inlet. We still have weak high pressure along areas of the eastern Gulf Coast and influencing the Panhandle. And then the front that came down through the north just kind of stalls out, but there is some colder air back up across the north slope and some stronger winds along the west side and the south slopes here of the Brooks Range as we go through later Tuesday and Wednesday. And we have another low way out toward the western Aleutians that'll be coming eastward and kind of invigorating the overall progressive pattern as we get toward the end of the week and for the upcoming weekend. Lows tonight stay above freezing in the Panhandle, generally upper 30s to near 40. Below freezing, Copper River Basin, 38, so it should stay above freezing, Anchorage Bowl. And then Tuesday afternoon, maybe not quite as much sunshine as it has been south central, but we're looking still at highs inland away from the water in the 50s. Back here across the Panhandle, some 50s could squeak out a 60 at Haines or Skagway or down around Klawak. And then for Wednesday morning, again, temperatures a little cool, a couple few degrees cooler in the Panhandle, generally in the 30s, just around or above freezing. And then probably a bit below freezing there in through the Copper River Basin. And as we go into Wednesday afternoon, temperatures 56 Glen Ellen, 50-ish for Anchorage. And off here throughout the Panhandle, 50s will be common, 44 at Kodiak City, 52 over at King Salmon. Now in the far north, colder temperatures. We could have a few readings come Tuesday morning near or just below zero. And temperatures generally getting below freezing through the Yukon Valley. And then during the day, we expect the warmest temperatures, McGrath on up toward Fairbanks, Northway. Eagle will get back up in the 50s while readings stay in the teens along the Arctic coast and North Slope along the spine of the Brooks Range. Again, low temperatures Wednesday morning could be back down, in some cases, single digits above or just below zero all throughout the north Again, many areas along the Yukon River getting back down below freezing. Some of these may be a little generous. And even cool along areas of the Seward Peninsula, teens and 20s. But the warmest readings Wednesday will be back out here through the east central areas up the Tanana Valley and the upper Yukon Valley as you get up there around Eagle. For the southwest coast, lows tonight generally getting back down below freezing here if you have any clearing. Temperatures near or just above freezing, extending out along the Alaska Peninsula and the eastern Aleutians. And then Tuesday afternoon temperatures could get back up in the lower 50s, especially as you creep up the Kuskokwim Basin, going up there toward Anvik and on up toward McGrath. And as you go up toward Galena, just not quite as warm here, again, along the lower Yukon Delta. In fact, there's going to be some stronger northerly breezes that could create some freezing spray around Nunavik Island off of the coastline here of the Yukon and south side there of the St. Lawrence Island. But for Wednesday morning, lows again generally down near freezing in the interior or a bit colder, above freezing mid-30s, tailing out along the Alaska Peninsula and in through the eastern Aleutians. And daytime highs getting back up 40s to around 50 degrees in here through the southwest interior. Only in the upper 30s, though, along the Yukon coast and the immediate areas of Norton Sound. So here's the temperature outlook, 6 to 10 day, May 5th through the 9th. Has temperatures averaging a bit above normal over the Panhandle, the southeast into the eastern, southeastern mainland along the Alcan border, with a better chance of below normal temperatures on the west side of the state, especially western areas of the Seward Peninsula down into the lower Yukon Delta, including St. Lawrence and Nunavik Island, as well as down into the eastern Aleutians and the southern portion of the Alaska Peninsula. Not a lot of change come May 7th through the 13th, so this is leading up prior to mid-month. So we're looking for temperatures to average below normal along the west side of the state and a bit above normal with the warmest temperatures right there along the Alcan border at places like Eagle and Northway. Precipitation may average above normal all the way from along the Gulf Coast up into the interior as we go through this weekend into early next week because of the moisture being pumped along the Gulf Coast and then coming inland and northward. So that could bring above average precipitation, considering this is normally our driest time of the year. And that could linger and hold prior to mid-month up here across areas of the southeast interior, Fairbanks, Northway, down into the Copper River Basin. So that's just a general outlook, but we're not expecting any really big warm-ups here in the next week. It's going to stay, if anything, cooling down a bit here later this week into the weekend as the pattern begins to get more progressive with systems coming in off the Bering and out of the North Pacific up into the Gulf.